When the whole sky is like a black wall is pressing towards you, no one would think it was a tornado, because it doesn't look like it. It's 4.2 kilometers wide, which is wider than Manhattan Island. 60 seconds ago, it was only as thick as a rope. 60 seconds later, it swallowed the sky of a city. The wind speed is 504 kilometers per hour. It also hides a group of small tornadoes. Each one was whipping around at 290 kph. The world's top tornado chaser scientist, chasing tornadoes all his life and never missed. This time, he calculated the distance and the route, but he was sucked up with his car and thrown 800 meters. The car was crushed into scrap metal, and 3 people died on the spot. He was the first tornado chaser killed by a tornado. And what's even more outrageous is that the monster that broke all records, the US Weather Bureau only gave it a 3rd-level rating because it didn't hit a house. This happened on May 31st, 2013 in Oklahoma, the United States, a small town called Reno. Just 11 days ago, in the same state, had just been torn apart by an EF-level tornado. The tornado destroyed the entire Moore City. 25 people died, with losses exceeding $2 billion. Everyone thought the worst was over. No one knew what was worse was yet to come. That afternoon, the weather looked normal. Sunshine and breeze, around 30 degrees. But the data the meteorologists saw already made them feel numb. The key indicator of atmospheric explosiveness, normally it's about 2,000 to 3,000, but that day it soared to 6,000. It's like a normal blood pressure of 120, but you measured 300. It's not a little high, but it's about to explode. What detonated it was the collision of 3 airflows: warm and humid air from the Gulf of Mexico, the dry and hot air from the western desert, and the cold air rushing down from the northwest. The 3 forces precisely converged over Oklahoma, pushing the high-energy air below it up abruptly. It's like pressing a spring to the limit, and then released at 4:30 p.m., the lid of the atmosphere was lifted. A thunderstorm rushed to 15,000 meters in 16 minutes and penetrated into the stratosphere. This is not an ordinary thunderstorm, it's a supercell, the rarest and deadliest type of all thunderstorms. It has a huge rotating engine inside, called a mesocyclone. Once it starts to reach towards the ground, a tornado will be born. At 6:30 in the evening, 13 kilometers southwest of El Nino, it touched the ground. But there is a subversive detail. Textbooks say tornadoes extend down from the cloud. First, look for a funnel cloud in the sky. Look for a funnel cloud and run away. But the high-speed radar recorded a completely opposite picture. At 20 meters above the ground, there was a tornado-level rotation, while the sky above 1 kilometer is still calm. This tornado is rising from the ground. The ground is already killing people, but there is no abnormality in the sky. If you wait for the funnel cloud to fall before running, you're already dead. What's worse is that the heavy rain is like a curtain that wraps the entire tornado. What you see is not a rotating funnel, but a gray rain wall that covers the sky. The visible funnel of this tornado is only 500 meters wide, but the actual wind field extends to 4.2 kilometers. You think you're standing outside the tornado, but you're actually in its mouth. At 6:19, it crossed Highway 81 and turned into a scorpion-shaped tornado, a giant monster wider than its height. From the east, you see a whole sky moving towards you. Then it started to split. It split into several smaller and more ferocious purple vortices. Each purple vortex, just like a figure skater tightening their arms, compressing the rotation speed to the extreme. One of the purple vortexes, the wind speed captured by the mobile radar, reached 504 kilometers per hour. It was only 7 kilometers away from the hell of itself. The radar scans every few seconds. In the blank seconds in between, the wind speed may have exceeded the world record. We will never know. The most evil part of these purple vortexes is not fast, but chaotic. The main tornado moves eastward. When the fan vortex rotates around the body, when it turns to the south, it suddenly accelerates to 290 and rush forward. When it turns to the north, it suddenly slows down or even reverses. Its track is like a spiral pedal drawn by a kaleidoscope. It's completely unpredictable. You drive parallel to the tornado, you think you are safe, but in the next second, a purple vortex may be thrown out of the rain curtain from 0 to 160 kilometers per hour. You don't even have time to shift gears. It's not over yet. This supercell also gives birth to a satellite tornado. Note that this is not a purple vortex, which is a completely independent tornado. It's on the southeast side of the main tornado. What's more bizarre is that it rotates clockwise. 99% of tornadoes in the northern hemisphere, a 4.2 kilometers wide counterclockwise monster rolling westward, and independent monster rotating clockwise danced on the east. Two death gods with opposite directions are drawing intersecting tracks on the ground. And Tim Samaras, who chased tornadoes all his life, died in this chaos. He wasn't an adventurer. He was an engineer, scientist, and inventor. He designed the detector called the Turtle, which was placed on the path of tornadoes to measure near-ground data. In 2003, in an F4 tornado, he recorded a pressure drop of 100 millibars, which has not been broken yet. His nickname was the safest tornado chaser. He never takes unnecessary risks. He said that to obtain data, you must get close enough, but I always put safety in the first place. That day, Tim took his 24-year-old son Paul and his 45-year-old partner Carl Young driving a white Chevrolet Captiva along a gravel road south of El Nino to keep parallel to the tornado. They were originally here to study lightning, but seeing the potential of the storm, they decided to change their plans temporarily. They tried to deploy a detector in front of the tornado. A fatal misjudgment happened here. They thought they were next to the tornado, but the wind field had expanded beyond their visual range. The team said on the radio, "There was no rain here. We were in a dangerous position." No rain in a stormy day is the most dangerous. That means you're standing in front of the tornado's open mouth. Then the tornado did something that no one expected. It suddenly turned. It turned sharply to the north and then turned back. The main body was turning, but the wind field on the south side was thrown out like a whip. Another chaser, Dan Robinson, was ahead of the team, was about 20 seconds ahead of the team. He passed through that section. He stepped on the accelerator and rushed out of the storm, but he was 20 seconds late. It was these 20 seconds that decided life and death. A purple vortex was thrown out from the south source of the main tornado with a wind speed of about 320 kilometers per hour, which directly swallowed their car. A 1.3-ton Chevrolet Caprice was thrown nearly 800 meters. Paul and Carl were thrown out of the car and fell in opposite directions. When they were first found, they were still wearing seatbelts sitting in the crushed car. All three died on the spot. This is the first time in the history of human tornado chasing, the first time a tornado chaser was killed by a tornado. The entire meteorological community was shocked. If Tim Samaras, the most cautious, precise, the most experienced person, could be caught, it means no one is safe. On the same day, the Weather Channel's The Storm Chases were also overturned by the tornado. The SUV rolled 200 meters. Fortunately, they were only injured. A local resident named Richard Henderson stopped his car, took a photo of the tornado with the caption "funnel." A few seconds later, the tornado passed over him and he died. The entire tornado, 8 people died, all in the car. It dissipated after 40 minutes. It traveled 26 kilometers, most of it passed through empty farmland. Then came the controversy. The intensity of tornadoes is measured by the EF scale. EF5 is the highest level, with a wind speed threshold of 320 kilometers per hour. The radar measured the tornado at 504, which was far beyond EF5. The Meteorological Bureau initially rated it as EF5. This is the first time in history that radar data rather than ground damage to classify. But 3 months later, they changed their minds. In August 2013, the National Meteorological Administration downgraded it to EF3 because the EF rating is a damage rating, not a wind speed level. Because the strongest winds hit wheat fields and barns, but not enough sturdy buildings to prove his strength. It's like a boxer can punch with one punch 1,000 kilograms, but because he hit the air instead of the sandbag, the referee said the punch didn't count. This decision has caused scientists to explode. It's not just an academic debate, but also directly affects building standards. If the official records say only EF3 tornadoes have occurred in this area, then the wind resistance designs of hospitals, schools will be built according to EF3. Next time, if the same monster hits the city, those buildings simply cannot withstand it. For the scientists who measured it and for those who died inside, this is an EF5. Tim Samaras and his team did not die in vain. In one day, pushed forward the progress of tornado science, which is more than previous decades. Tornadoes could rise from the ground and expand to unimaginable widths. The purple vortex can move like a racing car, travel rapidly in the main body. These discoveries are improving warning systems and save future lives. The El Nino tornado has passed more than 10 years, but it is still the widest on record and probably the strongest tornado. You never know that behind that ordinary dark cloud is a 4-kilometer wide monster is growing up from the ground in a way growing up from the ground.